They said to me in the manager's office, "You're playing well, do not get disheartened. You're going to make the grade, but you will not get into this first division side, or the Premiership side it is now, until you're 24 years of age." And I said, "Well, Albert Quicksall plays for Sheffield Wednesday. I've played against Albert several times. He's only 18. He said, "Well, that is the policy at this club," and that was it, finished. So I accepted that. And then Peter Hyam, who spoke to, my colleague, he went on to Nottingham Forest, and the manager was asking him about myself, and that's how I duly came to follow him on. In 6 weeks' time, I realised that possibly I would have to wait too long before getting in the side. Strangely enough, after I'd left, Sir Tom went centre forward, and the right wing position was available. You know, on contentious issues, who was the best available? And I would have certainly got a chance. Might not have secured it, but I would have got the chance. I started off with Blackburn Rovers, which I probably would have signed for it, and I've been to the RF, so I'd have been a Blackburn Rovers player, or a Preston player. But of course that didn't work out for the reason I described before. And then really it was Preston North End for 6 seasons, Nottingham Forest for 2.5 seasons, Doncaster Rovers for 2 seasons, Accrington Stanley when they were in the 3rd division. I was captain there at Accrington for 2 seasons, and they went, I left and they went bust. Not because I left, but they just went bust. And then I had probably 3 of the most enjoyable seasons I've had at Southport when they were still in the league. And of course with Southport I had the experience of a seasoned professional playing with some very good young men. Everton and Liverpool cast-offs who hadn't made the grade there but were good who had speed, and of course I used the brain to get them going, and I scored 19 goals from outside right one season at Southport, and I was a very good volleyer of the football, and they used to like this spectacular stuff. And then I dislocated my shoulder, and they thought I was an injury risk, and I wasn't retained, so that was the time I decided to get out. But fortunately, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever the case may be, Lancaster persuaded me to have another year, and that's the Wilf Manning story. And then I went in the motor trade with Audi Volkswagen for 25 years, and that's where the motor trade's not unlike football. There's a lot of crack, a lot of innuendo, a lot of throwaway lines, like the dressing room, so it ran well for me, that, yeah. The highlight was my first appearance here in place of Tom Finney, without any question at all. That was, it's a wonder my heart didn't burst out of my chest. It's a feeling that many people have for many different reasons, but this was for the real reason. And I mean, if I cut myself now, 2 little footballs fall out first before they flow, so I think it makes the point, doesn't it? And oh yeah, without question. And then there was one instance where I nearly had the same feeling. We played West Bromwich Albion in the 1954 final, and 3 weeks before, Sir Tom was nursing a groin injury, and I deputised for him a couple of times in away matches as well as home matches. And we were at West Brom. So we got to the ground, and I don't know if you know, but West Brom is one of the highest grounds in the country. And the fog had come down. So we arrived there an hour before the game, and Tommy Doherty said, "We're not going to play this so-and-so game." He said, "I can't see." And the ref came in, "Don't get changed, lads. The game's off as far as I'm concerned." Half an hour till we came in, the fog just disappeared. "Right, get changed, off we go." So it was the same 2 teams as played in the cup final, apart from me being in Tom's place. And I happened to have a particularly good game against Len Millard, who was his direct opponent in the final. And we lost the game 3-2, the same score as the final, strangely enough. And coming off, Len Millard came up, he said, "Well played, son, I can see who's been training you." Meaning I was playing with the left foot on the right wing and getting things going. And that was a high compliment. Now, and if Tom had not been able to prove himself fit, I possibly might have got into the final. But of course, on his own admission, I don't think that was the case. He had one of the worst games he's ever had in his life for Preston. On his own admission, this is not hearsay, this is... And he felt that week he was under too much pressure from everybody in the town, and I think the whole club in retrospect would have upped sticks and gone into the Lake District out of the way, but it didn't happen so much in those days like it does today. But those are instances that stick in the memory and make you feel pretty good.